these are large numbers. For like, if we're doing this like I'm like tracking these things so it's something a bit more descriptive than bond renovation. I'm planning on voting unless some.
And it's going to be right. I'm going to do my little spiel. I'm going to say my little words. I'm going to say, please keep going. I'm going to walk out and grab the kids and bring them back to me. Yes, and it's 1 minute. So the video plays when I walk outside.
I think I just voted no because it was the first reading.
Right. Okay,
I just voted no on all of them, but
then I'll walk out until they get around.
I broke out the ones that I'm okay with and that I'm against.
Stay right here.
Growing, you know.
Commission just told me back.
Oh, you joined them? I love them. Like usually I'm really usually everyone
I am okay.
At least I won't be alone.
You're here? Yeah.
That's me every day.
We got going here. Nice.
Yesterday we had at work in the county board.
Yep.
Do a TFA Ben, I'll be every weekend through at that Roma location.
But still good and busy nonetheless. The kids are great. Oh, it's Halloween, and you know, it's doing good, man. How about you?
Yeah.
I was bummed I missed it, man.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Are we all set? Okay, awesome. Good evening. I will call this meeting to order and start, as we usually do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. And we have a guest who will lead us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And I will pass it to Dr. Robert for a school presentation today.
Thank you. This is our first board meeting this year where we're having students present to present to us. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Gross, principal of Longview School.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Robert, community members, and my fellow Lancers. I'm very excited to be here tonight to share with you a little about the first 10 weeks of the school year at Longview and to have the chance to share our school theme for this year and a little Longview love. Our school theme this year is Learning is an Adventure. It can take you everywhere. And boy, oh boy, are we making the most of this theme. Now that we can have families on campus, take field trips, host performances, the sky is the limit for the Lancers. Our goal this year is to foster and create experiences on and off campus that give us a chance to learn about the world around us, make memories, and celebrate our staff and students. Tonight I have a short video for you that gives you just a little glimpse into what type of learning goes on at Longview and the joy that we experience each day. And I have a few very special guests that are making their way in right now, and they're going to sing a little song for you, led by the amazing Miss Doyle, or better known as Miss Gummy Bear at Longview. She's going to share a little bit with you about what's going to be happening on Veterans Day, and so our friends are getting set up. Jamal, could you cue the video for us? Just a cute little video, and then we'll get our friends ready. So we're going to watch the video. I'd like to invite up Miss Doyle to share a little bit about her music performance, and then we're going to let the performers take over.
I talk loud. I'm not it comes with the territory. I feel awkward standing in front of you. Sorry, this is weird. I feel weird. Hi. If you don't know me, I am Debbie Doyle, known as Miss Gummy Bear. That's me. I have the tiara on today at bus. These are our third graders today, and we have been getting ready. Actually, our whole entire school has been getting ready for our Veterans Day concert. That is something I started pre-pandemic, and then COVID happened, and well, we're trying again. So on November 10th, we're going to be holding a little Veterans Day concert during school hours. I will give you more information as it gets a little bit closer, probably within the next week, if I remember. But we're just getting ready to get back into our performance and being able to give you guys concerts again. So we are really excited, and I've probably already turned the color of a tomato, right? Am I nice and black? Probably, or nice and red, I mean. So we're gonna start today with This Land Is Your Land. And we are a work in progress, hence the words. So be patient with us, but we are doing a really good job with it. Okay, are you guys ready? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna be right here. So turn so you can face me. I'll hold the words up. Okay.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking
Okay, now that I'm officially the color of a tomato, because I get red, because I'm a ginger, it happens. This has been our hello song this year. It's not really a hello song, more as a song that I heard on Futurama a bajillion years ago when I first started teaching, and I fell in love with it, and this is the first year I actually learned the guitar enough to do it. So, are we ready, my friends? Yes. Okay, what's our first sign? If you haven't noticed, I like to do a lot of sign language with my kids. It's just important to me. It was important to my family, and we choose to spread it along. You ready? Ready? Oh, sorry, set, go.
Little bird, fly through my window. Little bird, fly through my window. Little bird, fly through my window. Find molasses candy. Fly through my window, my sugar plum. Fly through my window, my sugar plum, and find molasses candy.
Let's do Jaybird, here we go.
Jaybird, fly through my window. Jaybird, fly through my window. Jaybird, fly through my window. Find molasses candy. Fly through my window, my sugar plum. Fly through my window, my sugar plum, and find molasses candy.
One more. Chickadee, here we go.
Chickadee, fly through my window. Chickadee, fly through my window. Chickadee, fly through my window. Find molasses candy. Fly through my window, my sugar plum. Fly through my window, my sugar plum, and find molasses candy.
And bow. Let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, and bow. Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna go out this way, okay? Turn that way, turn this way.
That was awesome.
It was awesome.
Thank you so much, and just another round of applause for our friends. Yay! Thank you very much, and I will turn it back to you.
And that leads us right into the superintendent celebrations. And so, besides our Longview friends who came and sang for us, there are a few things for us to celebrate. They're so excited. You can't be upset at joy, right?
That's right.
When we look at our core values, over the past few years, we've been talking about our points of pride, and we've celebrated staff members here as points of pride. I kind of changed the name of the points of pride to the Spread Love Awards. Love standing for the LOVE, living our values every day. And so we're recognizing people for exemplifying those core values of integrity, equity, joy, growth, and relationships. And so we have 10 people that we're going to be recognizing today, just like we have been at the past few board meetings. Unfortunately, because of timing with notifying folks, we don't have everyone that's receiving the award here today, but I'm going to be going to their campuses or to departments to share those awards with them. But we do have some folks that are here with us. I'm going to read about all 10 of them, though, and what the people that nominated them had to say. We also have, and I'll be talking about this at the end of celebrations, our Teachers of the Year event this coming Saturday. But in this week that we're celebrating our Teachers of the Year, it's nice that this recognition of this Spread Love Award is not just going to teachers, but in fact, 7 out of the 10 people being recognized are employees that are not classroom teachers within our district, but from all aspects of our district. So when I call your name out and read about you, you can come on up here. I'll bring you your certificates and your lapel pins afterwards. But there will be 10 names and people read about. So when you hear your name, come on up here, start at the far end, and we'll just kind of going to through. But in fact, stand up there and sweat it out all through all 10 people, all right? Or employees that are not. And we're going to start with Kathy Komselman. But from all aspects of our district. So when I call your name out and read about you, you can come on up here. I'll bring you your certificates and your lapel pins. And we're starting with our core value of integrity. Kathy embodies so many of Osborne's names and people read about. So when you hear your name, come on up here, start at the far end, and we'll just kind of. Kathy has a strong moral. Stand up there and sweat it out. Do the right thing, all right? Equity for all children. And we're going to start with Kathy Komselman, building that she can share her knowledge with staff. So when I call your name out and read about you, you can come on up here. She brings joy to the psych team, and we're starting with our core value of grow in our field. Kathy embodies so many of Osborne's names and people read about. So when you hear your name, come on up here, start at the far end, and we'll just Kathy has a strong stand up there and sweat it out. Integral part of special education for all children. And we're going to start with Kathy Komselman. But from all, she can share her knowledge. But you are especially being equity. Call your name out and read about you. Can come on up here. She brings joy to the psych team, and hang out here. Many on the psych team that grow in our field. Kathy embodies so many of names. I was going to come bring it to you. Your name, come on up here, start at the far end, and we'll just Kathy has a strong. Not present is Maurice Tuttle in the maintenance department, who also serves maintenance and transportation, who also serves as a courier. And Mo makes sure everyone gets their packages and mail in a timely manner that allows us all to function within our roles here within the district. Mo's friendly, authentic, and does whatever is needed, and does the right thing even when no one's looking. And that's how we define integrity here within our district. Moving on to equity, we can bring up Kara Sarsis. The sense of equity within Kara's classroom community permeates through all subjects and activities her students participate in. Kara makes sure that each student in her first grade class gets what they need, when and how they need it. She goes above and beyond to provide reusable plates for breakfast, additional toys for recess, and water bottles for her students. Kara takes time to create memorable learning experiences within the classroom, provide special jobs so every student is a leader, and consistently acknowledges and awards students for their successes. Her diverse group of learners are welcomed every day into a peaceful environment full of visuals that set high academic expectations while showered with care and attention from their teacher. Kara has been intentional about the pace, stations, and groups in her classroom to allow every child to feel safe enough to take risks, blossom, and grow to their highest potential. Take one visit to her classroom and you won't want to leave. Kara is truly a shining example of love in the Osborne School District. Kara's at Encanto School. Also from Encanto is Mark Dayette, who's not here with us. He's got 2 kids that run cross country, and today is a really big day, and he can't miss out on being with his kids to be with us here. But I'm going to go over to Encanto tomorrow and celebrate with them and make sure that Mark hears that he not only makes sure his peer teachers are doing okay and that they need everything, but he also makes sure all students have equal access to items they may need. He's a great scout for resources. He's written a whole bunch of grants, mini grants and larger grants that the campus is definitely benefiting from, and different opportunities and materials. He looks out for everyone's needs and fights for equality for both teachers and students. That's Mark Dayette. Being recognized from the transportation department is Santoy Prather. Santoy is an absolute joy, this is our value of joy, to work with and be in her presence. She's positive, has a great smile to offer each and every day, and is the kindest person to be around. She's always willing to help her coworkers and is a key member in organizing the famous transportation department potluck. She lives the core value of joy every day with just who she is as a person and the positive light she radiates to those around her. Thank you, Santoy, for being an absolute joy. This next person was also written about for multiple core values, but Denise Banks, Montecito nurse, and also our district's registered nurse. Denise has been an amazing addition to our Osborne community. She works hard to form relationships with students as well as employees. She comes to Montecito each day with positivity and zest for life that gets reflected onto the staff and students. We're so lucky to have her. And, you know, I've been spending a lot of time at Montecito lately, and I can absolutely attest to this. She knows every single kid on campus by name. When kids are struggling in their classroom, a lot of times they want to go down and see Nurse Denise. And it's not for a Band-Aid. It's not for the ice pack. It's for the love that she gives them. Moving on to our next core value, which is growth. And this person, also from Montecito Community School, is not able to be with us. She's in class because she works hard, but she's also working very hard and is taking classes. Alexis Smith is a behavior technician at Montecito Community School. The person that wrote about her says, I actually have to nominate her for growth, integrity, and relationships. I've witnessed Alexis's growth both personally and professionally. Her willingness to put in the time necessary for both students and colleagues can be verified by the fact that after just weeks in the SEAS program, our students were already looking to her for guidance. Alexis is known for her excellent classroom management style and her ability to motivate and inspire our students. She's shown dedication to students and is always inspiring. Also being recognized for growth, one of our former teachers of the year, Sarah Size. Come on up, Sarah. Sarah Size is a veteran math teacher who continues to learn and grow every single day. Even as a veteran teacher, she's open about expressing the changes she makes every single year. Not only is she constantly pushing herself, but also her students. She has students with many different abilities, and she's still able to focus on individuals and provide support that's needed in order for them to grow. Sarah makes sure that every student is being pushed in an individualized way. We're very lucky to have her, and she deserves this award. And moving on to relationships, these two individuals also have prior commitments and aren't able to be here. But the first is Cindy Ruelas, who's an assistant cafeteria manager. She handles Montecito and throughout the district. Miss Cindy, this is so sweet listening to this about relationships, because this is about relationships with kids. Miss Cindy pays attention to the students that come through the lunch line. She asks them how they're doing. She puts aside their favorite food item if she knows that it's running low. She provides encouragement. She maintains high expectations. And she's a good human being. The students feel seen by her. She makes them feel important. She truly nourishes them with food and love. And the final person being recognized for relationships is from our IT department, Jonathan Davidow. Jonathan's been an amazing addition to the IT team. Already this year, he's come to my assistance multiple times with standard and not so standard IT requests. There are some strange requests on my part. Recently, he was on campus, and I asked him if there was a way to get the hole punch confetti leftovers from the copy machines, because I needed them for an engineering activity. He figured out how to collect them from all the machines, and brought it to me in an origami paper box. Thank you, Jonathan, for being so supportive of everyone in this district. We're so lucky to have you. And as you've seen our logo and how it's been made to include all of our core values, we've made lapel pins with them. So big round of applause.
Want to take a break?
And we're about to take a little break, but before we do, just two quick announcements to kind of close out celebrations. As mentioned earlier, our Teachers of the Year event is this coming Saturday. The organizers, it's the Osborne School District Educational Foundation that puts this on. The two members of the foundation that have organized and are running this event, Patty Tate and Marty Makar, have informed me that it is a sold-out event. Look forward to seeing as many of you there for this wonderful evening of celebrating amazing teachers, but also celebrating us. We're celebrating Osborne and the greatness that is within our buildings. And the final thing, I've got Mr. Stacy back there, as well as Monica Artea, to thank for putting something together that you've probably seen on social media for the past month or so. Our lovely magnets that you can stick onto your classroom boards, or you can put them on your car. Hope to see them all around town as you guys are celebrating Osborne. They did a special limited edition Mes de Herencia Hispana. Isn't this beautiful? And so there was a lovely, there it is, this limited edition giveaway over the past month. If you went onto our social media pages, and you could either just like the page or share it, or also, how else could they get an entry?
Comments, sharing. You could also mention us in our stories. There are lots of different ways. All the rules are right there. We'll do more. Cool.
Yeah, and so I believe, Brendan, you've been notifying folks that they're recipients. So people that did respond have received this limited edition. We're going to be coming out with different limited edition versions of this magnet. And so isn't this just beautiful?
Yep.
So I want to thank Monica and Brendan for working to put this together and for promoting this and just doing wonderful things to celebrate Osborne and promote. If you missed out on the opportunity to get this, we printed limited edition ones, so people maybe you might see it on eBay for $100. No, we will. I'm sure that we've got more that are available, and there are going to be different ones for different themes all throughout the year as we grow and celebrate and celebrate our district together. So that's it for collect them all. That's right. So we can take a quick pause in the meeting now and get some pictures with those that are being honored. And
Yeah, we'll take a 10-minute recess and reconvene at 6:07. Thank you.
Cool. Kind of hard to see on a bicycle.
actually, I'll send you an email right now.
Amber's
The
the
address.
regional.
Get what Horgan. That person.
Not demoted, but they're being sent back on
Yes.
basic canvassing. They're really
Kima.
I like measures
Yeah.
20 mine a week. 7th Avenue.
Ah, Kima's been actually part of Solano's 21st century. Past year. Yep.
Hey, boy, and she,
I mean,
so you're totally. I was like, what do you do? This, that, like, that sounds awesome. More in this, you know, like,
What we did with Chipotle, because we just had the event at Arcadia where organization.
the Robert.
Field engagement through active philanthropy.
How many kids are you expecting? I think it's like, that's like, yeah, you can probably get away with like 150. $10 a pizza.
When she was just getting her CV started. And she's a 3-time funder. So
12 slices. Yeah, 100 students. You get 20 pizzas at $10. It's 240 slices. So many volunteers.
Such a small world.
I know.
Yeah.
Or go up at 25 pizzas just to be safe.
I Chipotle, I would love to just
But that's
Okay, so we got a couple more minutes, but
going for like for
well, the only reason why we're using for Chipotle is one of my students received a grant. So he paid for Chipotle. It was a grant from an outside thing.
okay.
I don't know if you were planning on addressing.
Oh, that kid is hilarious. He's been working with Stanton, but I've been meaning to give him a conference. He's really big on water.
just get myself one.
Well, like I said though, he's just been busy with Stanton. He replaced me over there at the office.
Oh, okay.
They all like he kind of looks like up the track. He says, no,
Well, I mean,
he's white, but just like it's funny because
Good to know.
he dresses like one, but he isn't. He's
Got two more minutes.
Is it okay if I keep? No one noticed.
what was that?
No one noticed.
There's a magnet going missing.
Oh,
Oh, you mean my magnet?
Oh, this is your magnet? This is just later. I always repost everything on my Instagram stories.
I think you've been a little preoccupied, huh?
But I always, even when I'm busy, like I still do it. I'm like, I haven't forgotten anything.
I got one because I apparently liked enough things that I was one of the lucky winners. I really like the colors.
Yeah.
My social media consumption has gone down. I see them, but it's just like I'm hardly on social media now. Like I post once
I
every.
do like everything
days.
that's posted and I reshare it.
Go check on our clerk.
Yeah.
Just let it disappear.
Another one.
I saw nothing. I was community.
Life away.
I was about ready to tell a joke while we waited for him.
Okay, we'll call this meeting back to session, and taking a little bit out of order in light of we have guests today who are presenting. So I'll go ahead and call the Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest for agenda item 8A.
Good evening, President Flamand, members of the board, Dr. Robert. I want to give you some context on a potential partnership that I want us to bring to Encanto and possibly the district. So all of the schools participate in what's called a comprehensive need assessment. So what that is basically a fancy rubric where teachers give us feedback on what are some of the things that are going well and how to improve them. From that, we create what's called a root analysis. And again, based on the feedback that's provided, we look at what are some possible reasons that these things are happening. So the comprehensive needs assessment has 6 parts. That's effective leadership, effective teacher instruction, effective organization of time, effective curriculum, conditions, climate and culture, family and community engagement. So what happens is our teachers and staff look at the rubric and they each play a role in providing feedback. Then we set goals. From those goals, we create what's called a school integrated action plan. At Encanto, we have 3 things to focus on based on all of this. One of them is high expectations for students. The other one is differentiated differentiated professional development for staff and teachers. And then finally, collaborative partnerships with a focus on family and community engagement. So all of that to say is I wanted to give you some context on one of my missions, one of many, is to create those partnerships to ensure that we are meeting the needs of every student, because at Encanto, our motto is every student matters, every moment counts. So with that, I want to introduce Janelle Radusoya, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name, who is the Children and Family Service Regional Director with Lutheran Social Services of the Southwest.
Good evening, President, Flamand, members of the board, and Dr. Robert, sorry. I'm Janelle, and about 17 years ago, Angelica and Raul have been working in Osborne School District in different areas, in different schools, presenting either Readiness Basket or Parents Academy. And so we would like to continue that and continue that partnership at Encanto this year. And really, the idea with the Parents Academy is to provide families who are their children's first and best teachers. They're an opportunity to learn what quality early childhood looks like and give them the opportunity to have that also not only in a formal setting in their community, but also in their home in an informal setting. Many families utilize family, friend, and neighbor care. And so these folks who come to Parents Academy, they go through 14 weeks of sessions. And we start with the 5 protective factors. And what the research says is when families have these 5 protective factors in their home and within their selves, then they are more likely to, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. We're more likely to excel in school when they enter school, and also reduce the likelihood of child abuse and neglect. And so we start out really looking at these and helping the families identify what those 5 protective factors are and how they are strengthened in their home. Then we'll focus on brain development and helping them learn how children learn, and really start to help them understand how to find community resources within their community and seeing the school as a resource and helping them to bridge that gap of how to be a partner with your school. And so Angelica and Raul, who are here, they are the facilitators of the program. The program is taught bilingually to families, and we have It's 2-hour sessions, 14 weeks, and really emphasizes also on the Arizona Early Learning Standards and how those help prepare children for school. So I'm here to answer any questions about the MOU that you may have had, any questions about the program, anything like that.
Thank you so much for coming. Are the classes at the school? Would they be at
Yes.
Encanto?
Yes,
Okay,
they're on the
wonderful.
campus, trying to really reduce those barriers for people having to go anywhere else.
And so for the classes, do you know, there's people with young kids, you bring the kids,
Yes, so part of the beauty of the class is also to help kids get ready for that separation that some kids have not, especially during COVID, have not experienced by the time they get to the kindergarten classroom door. So we provide childcare in one room for children, and then the parents are in another room, and then towards the middle to end of the class, they all come back together and do an activity together.
Got it. And when would this start?
Hold on, I need to ask Angelica and roll.
Okay, that's fine.
The plan is to start on the 25th, Tuesday the 25th.
Tuesday,
October.
October.
And this is consistent too, you know, as was mentioned, the Readiness Basket program, you mentioned about 17 years ago. I can remember during my time as principal at Encanto School, we had that program we had a 5-year grant through First Things First that sponsored, you know, that program. Just wonderful opportunities for parents to, number one, be doing this learning and engaging right there on our campus. So they look to the school as the center of their learning as a family. It's a family that's learning on campus, not just their child. So it's wonderful to see this returning to our campuses, and I can tell you that from the past, you know, as a principal, you know, it was on multiple campuses within the district, and it was just such a benefit to our families. So I'm very appreciative of you being back for this.
Last year, we were on the campus of Solano, and one of the parents, this is a quote from one of them, that they liked the facilitators, how they taught the class, this step-by-step, very clear and motivated. And I really appreciate all the information provided. I feel my family is happier and my children are more self-confident too.
It's wonderful.
And I think that really speaks to what we want for families. You know, when the children and the families are more confident, they're ready for school.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful program.
Thank you.
Questions? I have a question about the services are bilingual. You said that the classes are taught bilingually. Is it there's 2 sessions, or is it a sort of an English translated, or is it just into a different language? How does that work?
So the way that Angelica has traditionally presented is bilingual in the classroom. So many of the families do like to try to read in English and learn in English, but she's there to support them in Spanish also. So whatever the group as a whole decides is how they will decide how to teach.
Okay. And this is open to anyone in the community, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there a desire or intent to try to have Osborne parents?
Absolutely. So we work directly with the staff on the school campus to recruit the parents.
Okay.
So really focusing with on those families that are right there that are already coming to the school, or families within that neighborhood that would be their home school.
Okay. And then I noticed that this is part of the Lutheran organization.
Yes.
I assume that this is all a secular-based
Absolutely.
program.
So all
Okay.
of Lutheran Social Services programs are secular-based.
Okay.
We are an offspring of the Lutheran Church, but we are not a organization who teaches any theology or anything like that.
Okay. Good. I definitely support the mission. I'm always mindful in a school
absolutely.
setting. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions?
And so you know, right now, this is funded in part by First Things First.
Okay.
We have a family resource center within the Phoenix North School District, or not school district, First Things First region is how they put it. And so Encanto is located within that. And so we're able to come to you with this class.
Perfect. Thank you. Any motions? or questions?
No, I move that we approve the MOU.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going back to the regular agenda, item 4, the consent agenda. I had a clarification regarding the minutes. It seems like those were corrected. Did you?
Yes,
Oh,
and
yes.
as I mentioned in an email, there was minutes were corrected in terms of the votes tabulated from ayes and nays on a vote. So we just corrected the tabulation of the votes.
Perfect. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Or the entire consent agenda.
For,
I
yeah,
move
that
that
consent.
we approve the entire consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Agenda item number 5, call to the public. Is there any?
I have no requests.
Okay, we will move on. Mr. Roberta, is there a board presentation?
No, we'll move on to administrative reports.
Administrative reports. Any questions or comments on the reports?
Yes, just a couple short ones. Appreciate all the detailed reports, especially all the principal reports. It's a very busy time. I really enjoyed them. The suspension report, just it's just sad to see the suspensions, the out of school suspensions especially, and there's one out of school suspension's too many. I get it. It's difficult on the ground, and it seems like there's quite a bit of fighting from time to time. It saddens my heart. I guess it's more of a comment than a question. I'm hoping that we can do what we can do as a district to try to drive those out of school suspensions down as close to zero as possible. The September one, it felt like a lot. The student enrollment report, I think you may have already. I guess I had a quick question on that. Looking on that, and I appreciate the breakdown by classroom, so we can see the classroom sizes. And I kind of question about iSchool. On the iSchool, some of the classrooms had, the first, second grade class had somewhere around a kind of 5 to 8 students, at least according to what's on here. How does that work with iSchool? And is it one teacher per 5 or 8 kids?
So it's, thank you for the question. So we have 3 teachers in iSchool for grades 1 through 6. So those are combination classrooms of a first, second grade combo, a 3-4 combo, a 5-6 combo. And that's responsive to what the request was from parents. If we had class sizes that were comparable to what we have in the in-person classrooms, at a particular grade level with 20, 21, 22, around, then we would have had isolated grade levels. So that was not, there were not parents that requested iSchool that were turned away for that. We did our best combination of grade levels. We don't offer for kindergarten. That wasn't given as an option this year. But in terms of the 1st through 6th grade options, those are where the numbers are. And so as we look forward, when we first went into online learning, the entire district, of course, when there was a shutdown, everyone was learning online. But once we returned to school, our first year of having an option, of course, this was in the heart of the pandemic, and we didn't have, vaccinations at that point. We had 900 kids in iSchool at that time. At the beginning of throughout last school year, I believe our numbers were somewhere around maybe 160 to 180 students in iSchool, and this year it's around 60 total. So you can see that the community demand for online learning opportunities as we've moved into a much healthier place as a community, and the return to full in-school learning. So it's also good because when we look at funding that's available, we've chosen to fund all of that online learning through our ESSER dollars, and as we're starting to look towards the future end of ESSER dollars, we have to be prepared for either finding other sources of state or federal funds, or managing to find ways within our maintenance and operations budget to fund any of the things that we may have started during this pandemic time. So you can see that the community demand for iSchool has certainly gone down over time and will continue to do so.
Thank you.
That was also listed as a future agenda item. I know it only came an hour before this meeting, but I did send you a notice too.
That works.
So we're continuing that conversation.
I appreciate that.
Any other? I'm curious to know how the folks from Jamaica are doing. It seems like they sounded like they arrived and in classrooms.
Dr. Woodland or Ms. Norwood, our folks that are international folks have arrived. They're on campus. They're teaching.
Everything going okay? They're all here. Okay. Awesome. It'd be interesting to have a chance to. I'm interested. I don't know if my colleagues would be interested in having some sort of reception or informal greeting. I'd be interested in speaking with them and learning about kind of like what education looks like in Jamaica. So, and then I want to recognize Ms. Call for the amazing way she represented the district in her classroom. She was the subject of a TV and a news report, kind of recognizing the work she's done. And I know she's an honorary nominee for the Teacher
Yes,
of the
she'll be
Year.
recognized at our Teachers of the Year, and also, as you mentioned, Cronkite News came in and did a story about our residency
the residency
program.
program. Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Right. Moving on to the action items. Agenda item 8B, approval of behavior technician and self-contained educational assistant differential.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent Robert, colleagues, and community members. I'm just joining from Phoenix College. We had a great opportunity for Eat, Meet, and Teach over there, so that's why I was a little tardy for the party. But getting to action item B for approval of behavior technician and self-contained EA differentials. We've had a little bit of a struggle, to be candid. I won't read to you from the background, but we've had a little bit of a struggle filling the roles of behavior technician as well as self-contained educational assistants this particular school year. If you'll recall, last school year, we did have a $4 differential for the behavior technicians, and it was removed at the beginning of this school year. And that was a hard situation as it pertained to attracting and retaining new staff. And then we saw a dip as well in our ability to attract and retain self-contained educational assistants. As such, our lovely director, Mariah Kelly Hatcher, who's our director of student services, did seek to explore the option to add those differentials back. And she and Colleen found the funds to do so. So what we're asking for on today is that the board would entertain adding back a $4 additional per hour differential for the position of behavior technician and a $2.50 per hour differential for the position of self-contained educational assistants. For the educational assistants, we're acting that be effective as of 9/19, and then for the behavior technicians, effective as of 9/5.
Thank you so much. I certainly support this. The question, though, for the future, I know it was removed before this school year, $4 increase, and I see in the early report resignations. I see behavioral technician resignations there. Can for this one, assuming we pass this today, can we not remove this one? Nothing like a punch to the gut, like a pay decrease. You know what I mean?
Actually, I'd like to speak to that because in our core values of integrity as well as equity, we didn't remove the differential for people that were actually in the roles. Their grandfathered in. They didn't receive decreases in their compensation. This only pertained to staff that were either recruited as of 7/1, which is the new fiscal year.
Okay.
Yes, but we wouldn't do that.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, we would
for-
try
for
not to, right?
clarifying.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this would continue on for
Yeah,
all
the,
existing
the,
staff.
the thing about that, when we did it last year, we put it in as that pay differential, but we were also going through completing our compensation and classification study. And so we weren't looking to make something permanent that wasn't going to be reflected in that study. And so as a result of that study, looking at the market actually didn't demand, according to an analysis of all of our neighbors and what the field is paying. However, we were not able to hire people. Regardless of what the field says, we weren't able to hire folks. And so we were cautiously not adding something in that was not going to be representative of what our compensation study found. What the reality told us was that we were not able to hire new people, and instead of being what our study told us to do, which was get within that range, this was an area that we needed to lead the market on. And so these folks are already being paid this amount because we can do a temporary means to attract folks, but this is making it permanent into that salary schedule. So it's not just a differential, it's going to be what the offered pay is.
And looking at the pay schedule for grade 10 entry is about $15.59, and grade 7 is $14.03, right?
That's correct. So on top of each of those entry amounts, you would add the $4 for the behavior technician at the grade 10, and then the $2.50 for the educational assistant at grade 7.
And just with this differential, I can tell you that at Montecito, with the behavior technicians, and I have to thank both Dr. Woodland and Ms. Kelly for the work that they did with contacting folks that had applied earlier at the lower rate that were not able to accept the position, were offered that differential, and some did accept the pay. So we were not only just putting it out there as here's a new posting, but we went back through folks that we had wanted in the position. And some of those individuals chose, and then we also had new interests. So we're fully staffed with behavior technicians over at Montecito, and I'm not sure about within,
Every
overall
other
within the
site,
district.
yeah.
But also with the special education assistants, I don't know if we're fully staffed there.
Those are the ones we need, yeah.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Right.
I move that we approve behavioral tech and self-contained educational assistant differentials.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made, seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Approval of agreement with MSAN.
Good evening, board members and colleagues. We are thrilled to be joining the Minority Student Achievement Network, or MSAN, which is actually housed at the University of Wisconsin, which happens to be the alma mater of President Flamand and myself. The Minority Student Achievement Network is a national coalition of diverse school districts from across the country: Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Virginia, Massachusetts, Ohio, North Carolina, New Jersey, who regularly come together to dive into research, to share promising practices, specifically with the goal to understand and eliminate racial opportunity gaps that persist in our schools and districts. There is an adult learning component, and there is also a very exciting student learning component, which we're excited that OMS is poised to take advantage of starting this month. We are thrilled to be joining this network of schools that have been, Isaac School District has been a part of this network for many, many years. And so with the encouragement of the superintendent there, we applied and were accepted, and so the final step in joining this network would be the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding, which essentially asks that we support this active cross-network learning community, that we participate in activities and meetings. We potentially have an upcoming meeting in November, and 3 more throughout the year, and then bring that learning back to our own district. And we will be excited to share that learning with all of you through regular reports, and just excited to learn along colleagues who are in particular dedicated to that core value of equity, which we hold so high in our district. So I will pause there for questions.
Are there any questions?
Sounds wonderful. I move that we approve.
Before we do that, I noticed that it's a $15,000 membership fee. Thinking about, well, I think, starting pay, we just talked about for behavior tech is about 14, rounded up to 15 is just more. This is, easily 500 hours worth of tech time. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how this benefits the district? I'm not quite sure I understand what the engagement is here.
I appreciate that question, and to be frank, when we initially thought about joining, the cost was $13,000, and so it has since increased. And so a conversation that Dr. Robert and I have had is that whereas we're interested and excited in a long-term commitment with the network, we also recognize that cost might prevent us from carrying forward. So we are excited to engage in this year's learning. I think whereas we have the opportunity to engage with colleagues within the Valley and Arizona around important issues of equity, I think we can also understand and agree that getting that broad perspective from outside of our state with regard to promising practices for closing achievement gaps, with regard to understanding how school boards may interact with their public around issues of equity related to policy and or practices. Moving outside of the state of Arizona, there is a benefit to that, and this particular network would give us that opportunity. We have 4 meetings where we meet, Dr. Robert will meet with superintendents, again, from like I said, there's about 8 or 9 10 states represented. So the superintendents meet, they have a meeting essentially where they have a day to themselves to engage in collaborative sharing and research. The wonderful University of Wisconsin, which in my perspective it's the #1 curriculum and instruction department, rated year after year across our country. So they bring researchers to the superintendents, and then the curriculum, oftentimes it's curriculum directors and people in my position who then also come together to really learn, hear what research is out there that is showing these promising practices. So superintendents have a chance to network with each other, as do people in my position, to really hear across the country what are those practices, what are real life examples of school districts who are doing this work every day, who are seeing growth in their academic data, who are building those partnerships with their community, who are increasing enrollment and meeting their families where they're at. So I think that would be that was a fairly long-winded answer. I can come up with some, I think we have a lot to see. I think there's probably a lot more to that, and we can certainly continue to answer that question after we attend our first meeting, potentially in November.
I also think that another part of it is the opportunity to engage within this network in scalable research. So as a community of practice, we bring forth what are the areas within curriculum and instruction and assessment and that cycle where we see students, and particularly, part of being part of this network is they're looking at districts, #1, that are around the same size. So you don't have your LA Unifieds or, New York Public Schools, with hundreds of thousands of kids. You're talking about school districts, generally in between 3 and 30,000 students, with high numbers of students of color within the district, with demonstrated success, whether it's current or in the past, in curricular endeavors with closing achievement gaps, and then coming together as a community of practice and discussing what are the areas that we're still not making those gains, and making some small, and this is where it's nice, it's not just districts working by themselves, but it's working with a large research university on what good practices are, trying them, kind of how we've used TAP for doing field testing within a particular classroom. And if you're successful with that, then you scale it up to a whole school intervention, doing the same things within districts. And so, one of the things that the districts engage in is certain districts will take the lead in putting a certain practice into play, whereas the collaborative effort may come together with what the practice would look like, and then based on the success of through different measures, scaling that up throughout the entire network. So it's an opportunity for working on research together as with the university on kind of laboratory action studies, action research types of studies, but working collaboratively among districts.
And which states are participating?
A lot of Midwest states. Arizona is the only one over here. They're looking to expand to, they're in conversations with a couple districts in Colorado and California. The opportunity for expansion into the network has to be, you write up a proposal, it's approved by the governing board of the network, and they just take applications once a year. So we applied in the spring and were approved at their May meeting for being able to join the network. But it's a lot of, Arizona has been in the network for a number of years. Isaac's been a participant. Buckeye was for a while, Paradise Valley was for a while, but Isaac has continued for more than 10 years within the network. The other states.
Yep.
Illinois, Wisconsin,
Illinois, Michigan, Virginia, Massachusetts, Ohio, North Carolina, New Jersey.
Okay. It sounded like the interaction would be at the superintendent level and at your level. It sounds like this is good professional development.
So there are a couple things.
I'm just trying to see how do you expect this to translate to sort of staff on the ground?
Yep. So at the regular MSAN meetings, there are two meetings that happen. There's one that they refer to as their governing board meeting, which is the meeting of the superintendents. And then there's the Research Practitioners Council, which is Abby's level, and Kathy would be participating at that. They also have a conference in the early spring where you can bring up to 10 participants. So that's where you can bring in principals from schools, where you can bring in curriculum specialists as part of that. And then there's also the student component that you can talk to Abby.
Yeah, we're really excited actually. There are monthly meetings of students where, there are monthly topics related to student agency, and the network has lined up different speakers to speak to these different topics. And so I've been working with Principal Hayes and Principal All to identify an advisor on OMS's campus, as well as students who are interested in participating. Again, there are 2-hour virtual Zoom meetings where, again, around different topics related to student agency, around intersectionality of identity. So we have these monthly meetings starting this month with the goal of each of these districts and their identified group of students who participate monthly, leading toward a poster presentation kind of around the different topics that have been discussed, wherein each student at their home base campus comes up with a project kind of grounded in the topics to really impact the school, but also they do their sharing in their virtual poster session in April. So there is a student component as well, and we have a teacher lined up to facilitate that student group as well.
And this is the first year that they've extended down to the middle school level, that this adolescence workshop has normally been at the high school level. So, they're dropping it down to having middle schoolers participate in this for the first time.
Any questions from colleagues? I have my reservations in terms of the value of this, but I will defer to. It seems like you see value in this, and to the districts and growth. Just value and potential sort of skill growth and learning and collaboration. I would. I'm mindful of doing this, and how it really will translate on the ground to some tangible sort of benefit. Just the last couple of months, finances have been a theme, in terms of budgets and salaries and that sort of thing. So enrollment is down. So just I'm mindful of that, but also recognize the value of professional development. So, it's a year long. We can assess what impact it's had, and assuming I'm here next year, I would be asking sort of some concrete questions about what came out of this before renewing the MOU.
Most certainly, and anytime we're engaging in professional learning, if it's not going to have an impact on students, we don't want to be involved in it. So, this isn't just about adults gaining. The whole goal of the network is closing gaps for students from traditionally disadvantaged communities and looking at best practices in the field, not just from the book side of research, but from what that looks like in classrooms for teachers, in classrooms for students.
Okay.
I'll just add, I'm all for professional development. I think it's important and critical for the growth, not only of the superintendent, but also I do think that there should be opportunities like this for our administrators and our teachers. So ensuring that we're all providing those opportunities for them as well, not just, because it is pricey. I'm not gonna lie, I think that's a pretty high cost, but I also think that it's a university and there's research involved. So then if you measure that, I think it kind of makes sense. But ensuring that, when we're looking for professional development opportunities, we're also including teachers and other staff.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the agreement with the Minority Student Achievement Network.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion's been made, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Agenda 8D, approval of second reading of ASBA policy revisions.
Yeah, so this is the, last time, in the past couple meetings, we've been engaged in policy discussions. We had a set of policies that we went through a first and second reading through the last two meetings. Last time, there was a large set, and you've got that within your packet, that we went through the first set of readings. After this, we're going to get to a smaller subset for a first reading. So we had a healthy discussion last time we were here with the approval of the first reading. So, I've included my summary and recommendations on those. And so any questions or further conversation the governing board would like to have before approval of the second reading?
Just want to reiterate, and essentially said this last time. And I understand why these need to be or should be in policy, so that folks don't have to go digging through the Arizona revised statutes to know what the most recent terrible policies that the state legislature has passed. That being said, be remiss if I didn't again express my frustration and outrage at a lot of the things that the legislature's doing down there. One of the things that you'll see in this is SB 1165 that, is aimed at our LGBTQ students, and it's terrible. And what they're trying to do to our kids, and it's just more unfunded mandates. And it's not my values. It's not. I don't think this district's values. I'm hoping that I don't know what's going to happen to the legislature next year, but I'm hoping it has values that reflect our values and that they start repealing a lot of these unfunded mandates, and we can change these policies. But I understand why we have to or we should put them in our policy books. And I get that. Not happy about it. I don't like it. I could probably spend 30 minutes picking out all of the terrible policies and why they're bad ideas. That's probably a better set for a letter from me to my legislators. But I understand what we need to do today.
And, just a reminder to you, you guys have chosen to be members of the Arizona School Boards Association. The School Boards Association, on your behalf, after the legislative session, looks at all things that are in the law and engages in either writing new policies or providing policy advisories to districts for measures that they can put into their policy books that adhere to compliance with all aspects of the law. So, all of these policy advisories that are being brought to you are being brought to you through your professional organization as well that you have chosen to join.
Any other comments?
I just want to second Ed's statements. As a teacher, I see these policies now and seeing it from a different perspective. It is disheartening to see what our legislators are targeting in terms of our classrooms, our campuses, and our students' communities. So I understand the need to have these. I understand that this is what the legislature has chosen to do, and we should be in compliance with the law. But in my heart, I know that 90% of these are not right.
I made my position fairly, I think, pretty clear last meeting. I'll be brief, but I do want to make some statements for the record. I agree that we should be in compliance with the law. And I would not want it any other way. However, I think that there are other ways where we can write down and describe procedures that are not enshrined at the level of policy. I think that there's ways to do that. It's easy enough to do it like this, but there are ways to do it without enshrining them in policy, without putting our imprimatur of acquiescence to this. For example, and there are things I just don't want to put my name to. For example, proposed policy KB, the purpose is misleading. It talks about to promote the involvement of parents and guardians of children enrolled in the school district. That's not why the legislature did this. And I disagree with that. It creates the right to access all written electronic records of a school district's or school district employee concerning the parent's child. So, communications, informal communications between teachers about a child that they're trying to figure out how to help, and it could be an informal conversation. That's now subject to discovery, basically. That's going to inhibit things and how you interact, how the staff interacts with each other in terms of how you solve issues and help serve our students. We have to follow the law, but do we really want to put our name to that, to say that we're okay with that? Why are we keeping all the resumes for current and former instructional personnel? Are we micromanaging, the state micromanaging hiring, and do we, again, acquiesce to that? I could go on as to why these things I don't feel comfortable putting my name to them, but instead I'll make a motion that we treat the ones I have concerns about separately, and we can vote on that, and then we can vote on the remainder. I would like to make, I don't know if I can make a motion that I'm going to vote against.
Well, what you can
But-
do, I mean,
I can make a
There's-
motion to reject.
well, we're approving, we're not rejecting policies, we're approving policies, and you can choose to, like, that's what it
So-
doesn't exist in the policy book, right? So you're not making a motion to not have something in the policy book.
Right.
If someone's gonna make a motion to approve a policy, then we can do these one by one, or we can do them in large groups.
So I can list out the ones that I object to, or
Well,
we can
I
vote
think-
as a complete slate.
I'm going to make a motion and feel free to, I suppose, offer an amendment to that motion or vote how you wish to vote on the motion. But I'm going to just go ahead and move that we approve the second reading of the ASBA policy revisions as stated on the agenda.
I would like to make an amendment that we exclude certain provisions. And
Real
vote
quick
on those
point,
separately.
I guess that's the way I can finally say this point of order. Isn't it possible that we can say, we would like to pull the following and discuss these separately and vote on the rest?
Yes.
Go line
So
by line.
Okay.
either line by line, or Ed's made a motion to approve all the policies as listed, as recommended. So if you're going to make an amendment to that, then I would state your amendment in terms of, I'd like to, approve amend that to include this list. So kind of state what your list is.
Okay.
And then,
Yep.
just looking at a point of order, do we need to approve then that amendment?
You vote on that amendment. So I amend that we vote on proposal DIA, EE, EEA, EA, GB, GCB, IHA, IJL, IJLR, IKF, IMB, JF, JICFA, JICFA EB, JLCB, JLCBR, JLCBE, JLCC, JLDA, JRR, JRRR, and KI, KIR, and KIE.
So your motion is to vote on adopting
approve those.
Those.
Okay. And then where would that leave the other ones?
Then we need to vote on the remaining.
Okay, so we're gonna do,
The ones, the ones I
believe
listed.
The intention is that with that list, I believe that the board president intends on voting in favor of those. And
Correct.
so those that would be voting in favor, and then he would make a motion someone else would make a motion for the others, and then you would have the opportunity to say yes or no to those.
Okay.
If you were intending on approving the whole slate, then you're going to approve this first slate.
These ones I do not object to.
got it. So your motion's been made.
Well, the amendment.
The amendments.
Is there an objection to the amendment? No? Okay. I'm not quite sure of the parliamentary procedure, but
So
Move to approve the amendment.
Motion's been made, so is it seconded?
a motion's been made to amend Mr. Aramis's motion. Is there all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Okay, the amendment carries. So we're voting on the slate I read. Is there a second to that?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. So that leaves a handful for simplicity's sake, even though I plan on voting against it, I don't know if that's okay or not.
Let's read them into the record.
I'll list the ones the remaining ones. Those are IJNC, IJNCR, IJNCE, IMD, JJIA, JJIB, JJIBR, KB, KBR, KBEB.
So, I got them.
I will.
So you're not making a motion on those. So we have a handful of items remaining, of policies remaining. So if someone would like to make a motion to approve those.
I'm going to move that we approve those remaining ones. And in making that motion, just again reiterating that I'm doing so not in support of the underlying legislation that has created these. Frankly, a lot of that legislation is abhorrent to me, but I'm approving those to make sure we have an up-to-date policies. So that's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I vote nay. Motion carries. All right. Next is the first reading of policy revisions, agenda item E.
Yes. So, sorry, just pulling these forward. The final three that you have, this is a first reading of these policies. This comes from an ASBA policy advisory. Policy Advisory 737, which is for JCLB and JCLBR, overhauls the entire JCLB policy and regulation to conform to the Arizona Department of Health regulations and Arizona state statute. The second policy, 738, is actually a regulation, which doesn't require board approval. We happen to bring all regulations and exhibits. It's been our practice to bring those forward. But it is just a regulation. It's not an actual policy. So JCLB, JCLBR are to comply to ADHS and Arizona state statute.
Any questions about those policy additions?
KDB, which is the public's right to know, basically the main change to that is it lists out if anyone is putting in a Freedom of Information Act, it lists not just that they're writing to someone in the school district, it lists that any Freedom of Information Act requests would come to the superintendent's office. It lists Lisa Nye's email address as the person to contact. It lists the amount of time that we have to acknowledge receipt of their, doesn't give a time frame by which we must supply that information, but it supplies the time frame within which we need to reply and let them know that we've received that. And then it gives kind of the regulations behind if there's going to be any charge for our supplying that information.
Is there
It's a regulation.
Is there a substantive change in the law that prompted that?
I believe that there was just lack of clarity as to who it would go to. So sometimes someone would want financial information. They would look up on the website and send it to, your chief operations officer or your business, your finance director's office. If it was about personnel, anything related to personnel, they may send it to human resources. This kind of makes the chain of command that all of that should be, if they're going to be compliant with their request under the Freedom of Information Act, that they need to reach out to this person. It basically keeps everybody in the district in the loop and doesn't let someone circumvent or go to a different department. And then me as a superintendent, there's been information that's been given out and I don't know it. Make sure that the superintendent's included on that Information Act, and then it allows me to go to whichever department and seek that information.
Sounds good.
So this is one group. I am putting this forward to you, recommending that you approve these policies as presented.
Got it.
Are there questions or motions?
I'm just quick comment is again, legislature didn't ask us, the folks on the ground didn't ask teachers before they start making these unfunded mandates about, face masks and things like that. We believe in following the science here. Legislatures, just keeps throwing on unfunded mandates I don't agree with. But that being said, I for reasons already stated, I'm going to move that we approve the first reading of the ASBA policy revisions.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then I guess I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Robert, for...
You can turn it over to me, so I can turn it over to Colleen.
There we go.
All
Oh, there
right.
she is.
Good evening. So we have two items. These are informational items. They're not for action. This is our annual report update to the board and to the community on our maintenance and operations override is the first item, and then we'll transition right into our bond and capital override annual report as well. So starting with the M&O override report, you'll notice there are some required items. These are pretty heavy information items included in the packet as well as on the board page, and those are because those are statute driven. Statute is very detailed about what must be shared as part of this annual report of both override and bond. And so I want to hit on those key items as we go through. So the prior year's maintenance and operations override, the total funded amount generated in the formula was just over 2.2 million. The total amount expended in the prior year for our maintenance and operations override was just over 3.3 million. The following items listed on the board page were items included in the original voter information pamphlet that were funded. And there's a detailed attachment in the packet that lists out the individual amount expended in each of those areas, adding up to that 3.3 million. And the current year FY23's M&O override budget is generating just over 2.5 million additional funds in our maintenance and operations budget. Important to note, I always kind of highlight this each year. You'll notice our expenditures in those categories that the maintenance and operations override is funding, they exceed what the 15% override formula actually generates. So that additional cost of all of those items are built into our overall maintenance and operations budget. The override, the 15%, is not enough to fund all of those key services and supports that are outlined in the voter information pamphlet. Before I move on to bond and capital override, I just want to pause and see if there's any questions on the maintenance and operations override. Also knowing that the timeliness of this override being on an upcoming ballot.
I'm just thankful to our voters, to our district voters, for passing the override. Hopeful for a good November, and especially thankful because I will have a kindergartner again next year, and would really appreciate the services and the full day kindergarten.
Full day K.
Yes.
Questions? No questions. Okay, moving on to our annual bond and override report. So again, I'll hit those kind of required items first. So an update on where we're at with issuance of our voter authorized bonding capacity. So of the 50 million voter authorized bonds, all 50 million of those have been issued. The final issuance of those bonds was in 2021. The current bond expenditures of that 50 million is just over 47.7 million. The current capital override budget is 1.5 million. That's a fixed amount. It's 1.5 every year for the 7 years of that voter authorization. The previous year's capital override expenditures were just over 720,000, and the current year to date, through September 30, when the packet was put together, we've spent just over 200,000 in current year capital override expenditures. Also important to highlight when we look at our bond and capital override is our expenditures compared to our original voter information pamphlet categories. There's additional statutory requirements on what we're limited or restricted to in expenditures within those initial authorized categories, not just in total of 50 million. So I always want to highlight those. So right after the board page there in your full packet, there's a page that speaks to the bond budgets by voter pamphlet. And you can see how much of that 47.7 million has been expended in student transportation, buses, just over $500,000 compared to administrative improvements and furniture and equipment, which would be district office expenditures or district-wide, district-level supported expenditures is just over $2.6 million. And the remaining $44.5 million was spent on non-admin, which is a funny way to say that's all school-based. So that's all the site-based improvements in F&E, those non-admin expenditures. And you can also see what the remaining budget is by category for the remaining 2.5 million, just under 2.5 that's left. Same breakout is provided for the capital override compared to the original voter pamphlet categories. Again, it's the way that we're required to state the categories in the voter pamphlet. Those non-admin purposes, those are site-based expenditures. So those are dollars going directly into schools and the school buildings. And so how that breaks out actual expenditures in each of those categories, and we're right on the original voter pamphlet budgets. And in the capital override, we actually track it on an average over the 7 years to make sure each year that cumulative average, we're honoring those original voter categories and subcategories within there.
Clarifying question. The $1.5 million, if it's per year, if you don't allocate the entire 1.5, it doesn't roll over, right?
It does.
Okay, so so the years that we went under.
That's building up fund balance in the capital override for then those future years that have larger expenditures planned for them. So when we have years where we're planning curriculum adoptions, those are significant costs. And so years that we're not spending the whole 1.5, those funds aren't lost. Those funds are building up balance to then fund those years that have higher cost planned. It's different from the bond, where the bond has a requirement that if we issued bonds, and the last group of bonds were issued in 2021, you have to fully expend those funds within 3 years of issuance. So all the remaining bond funds have to be spent by 2024, end of that fiscal year. The capital override funds will continue to carry over. So if you don't spend it,
Regardless of the 7 years.
regardless, they're there, and that builds that capital fund balance for then those future projects that are maybe planned for in year 5, 6, or 7 of that override authorization.
Have you guys thought through yet as to what the balance will be used for? Because I mean, it looks like we're building up decent
Yes.
amount in the last couple of years.
Yes. So part of the annual report, that's a great kind of intro to my next little bit. So part of our annual report is to talk about future capital needs, future bonding plans. And so while we don't have anything finalized with a dollar amount at all, we are in the beginning of starting that updating our long-range capital plan and what our capital needs are. And that starts off with updating our life cycle analysis of all of our furniture, fixtures, equipment, building pieces. And so we're in the middle of that process now, and then that'll kick off a much larger capital needs assessment and getting information from the sites and forming a capital needs committee again and kicking off all of that work to then map out, okay, what we thought our needs were planned for in year 7 of the override 9 years ago is going to be different, right? 9 years from when we actually get into year 7 of the override, those needs may have changed. So updating that long-range capital plan this year is going to be very helpful in mapping out those final years of that capital override authorization.
What do you think the timing is on that capital needs committee being formed?
Spring.
Spring, okay. Keep us updated.
It's going to move very quickly, but it'll be spring.
And the last time we got to go to the schools, which was a blast, but I saw a lot of capital needs out there and a lot of opportunities to really improve the schools on the capital side. So very exciting.
I guess I say spring. I think spring to me is January. It's when we come back for second semester.
Right,
So it's
right.
going to be that whole second semester.
Yes, wonderful.
I also wanted to share a little bit more because those are the required items that are part of what's required in statute to be shared annually. But I want to tell a little bit more about what our more recent story is with the bond expenditures and capital override expenditures. That last $3 million that we issued, the majority of that was slated for technology, and a big portion of our bond and capital override budgets were slated for those technology projects throughout the years. And so I just kind of wanted to give a highlight of the devices that we currently have operational in use right now in the district. As you guys know, we're a one-to-one district. And so we have, for staff devices, we have just over 400 staff devices. We have just right around 2,885 student devices active. As of last week, we have 120 carts, which are those laptop computer carts in the classrooms. We have just over 190 smart TVs installed throughout the district, as well as we have a Wi-Fi access point in all of our classrooms. And we also were able to increase the district's internet bandwidth from 1G to 5G during those bond improvement projects. And so those are just some of the technology highlights of those dollars. I know we spent a lot of time hearing about the building improvements and some of those pieces, but just kind of an overall of where we're at with how the benefit and the impact that those dollars had in our technology, especially instructional technology directly in the hands of our students and staff. Also wanted to take a moment to go over utility savings. I know, Mr. Hermes, you'd asked about that at the work study last week, and so I did put together, it was not in the packet. If Brendan, you can pull up, thank you, a quick kind of chart to give you some comparison. This is a 5-year look back of our utility costs. So starting in 2018, which was pre-bond energy efficiency projects kickoff. So that was a full 12-month fiscal year that didn't have any of our current energy efficiency projects reflected in those utility costs. And so our utility costs were just over in total 1.2 million in FY18. And you can see the 2 years there, FY20 and FY21, those are noted as school closure years. Those aren't really a real good comparable year. We had significant amounts of time where our sites were not in full operation as far as staff and students on campus and drawing off those utilities. So FY22 was our kind of first year of a full school year, fully open, everyone back in the buildings to get a true picture of those utility savings. And so you can see we're saving $500,000 in overall utility savings compared to where we were in 2018 as a direct result of those bond energy efficiency projects. The majority of that savings is directly in electricity costs, which is tied to all of the wonderful solar that we see. And down at the bottom there, I just want to note that's in addition to us having increased our square footage, so we added buildings at campuses, and we're still have our utility costs less than where they were in 2018, as well as utility, as we know, the utility companies' rates have gone up every year, and we're still seeing those significant savings across the board. The only utility which we do not see savings in at the moment is disposal and trash, but that's a utility that's really not part of those energy efficiency projects. That's literally our waste management pickups. And I noted down there at the bottom, the approximately $4 million was the total cost of those solar projects. And so we're seeing that significant savings. In less than 10 years, the total cost of the solar will have paid for itself in savings.
What are the water efficiency projects?
Great question. John is actually here because he will know more than me, but we did quite a bit of water efficiency projects in the schools around like tankless urinals and different things, waterless urinals, those kind of things. But I don't know if John has. He loves being called on to speak, so thank you.
Finally. Yeah, so a lot of our big projects were the waterless urinals throughout the district. Again, we didn't touch Montecito, so it's all the other buildings. We did low-flow faucets and aerators through every classroom. We also did low-flow toilets and flush valves, so every toilet was changed out. And so the lower flow toilets were installed as well. And then they also went back and they put it in a lot of the bottle filling stations everywhere. So we've had a lot of water saving. So we have more to do, but that was the kind of the tip of the iceberg, so.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just on the disposal trash costs, want to thank that teacher who washes her own plates and brings in disposable, reusable plates. I forget which teacher it was who got an award today. That's fantastic. So, great presentation.
Are there any questions?
Curious, that's a really significant decrease from 19 to 22. I'm just any thoughts? I'm just curious as to is there a reason why? I mean, not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I'm just struck by the sharp decline.
From
in-
19 to 20, the majority of that is directly tied to the electricity costs, which is when the solar kicked on. So we were still in the process of installing the solar panels.
Oh, in
and
19?
In 19
Ah,
and in
okay.
20. And then once they were turned on in
Okay.
21, it wasn't a good year to get a full 12 months of, because we had been closed for the first half of that year. And so,
Okay.
not necessarily
That
closed, but our
makes sense
buildings were
now.
closed. Yes, so, yes.
Okay.
And I will point out, and you're being a member of Budget Committee, probably making that connection already. These were not like unknown savings. We knew we were going to see savings as those were projected when we were working on the energy efficiency projects. And so Budget Committee had already captured an estimated $350,000 in utility savings when they were working on the FY19 budget. They knew that that was coming. We did not account for COVID and school closures and the significant savings that we would see in FY21, being that abnormal year of not having full staff and students in the buildings. But we're kind of back where we had expected to be, and a lot of that $500,000 has already been accounted for in Budget Committee in prior years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Board development?
Yeah, we kind of slowed down on we were doing board development, engaging in the conscious discipline learning for a good while and kind of backed off that. So we'll revamp, especially as we're looking into, we know for sure we're going to have one new member of the governing board. And so, we'll need to look at what our professional learning goals are going to be from both, what happens through ASBA as well as, renorming and determining what we want some of that learning to be. So I'll be happy to put some of those things back on for board development. The only thing listed there is upcoming professional learning opportunities that you have with the annual ASBA ASA conference in December. You can let Lisa know by email your desire to attend that conference.
That's an excellent thing to go to, guys.
I just want to throw in there real quick before we move on to the next one. Juan received an award last night. He wasn't there to get it for certificate of boardsmanship. He has a fancy award. Probably not showing it off, so.
Thank you, Elise.
Oh, cute.
Just had to call him out.
All right. Reflections, feedback on the meetings. Start with Elise.
Short and sweet, because it's been a long meeting. But the big thing I noticed today, just from watching the kids sing, to hear in our conversations, that we're focused on the community, and it's we're keeping in mind what's best for the community at heart, and it's endearing to see.
Yeah, same. It was great to have the kids back. It's been a really long kids, and it's good to have them.
Well, I'm going to say number 3. The third person, the kids were fantastic, and having them come, and the families here, and they just all looked so excited and happy. That was great. Good job, man.
I didn't have anything to do with the singing. I just know the kids. If I was singing, it would
Yes.
have been totally different. Thank you.
Completely agree, but to try to be a little bit different, I just loved seeing the parents' faces, watching their kids, and just being able to not take for granted being able to be all together, and just again have everybody under one roof, and just continue to have the schools be the kind of center of the community. And so I love seeing that. I love seeing the parent classes we talked about too. Just again, making sure that our schools are the center of the community, and provide those resources that our parents and our kids need. So just love seeing it.
It seems like every meeting almost we have an MOU for a partnership with a great organization, and I'm grateful for the work that everyone in the district does to seek out those partnerships, build relationships, and then get people to come and want to serve our staff. Our students. I mean, staff sometimes, but primarily students. So I don't know, maybe you can correct me on this, but it seems like it's almost every meeting we have an MOU with that. So I think those are great opportunities for providing just additional services and expanding on the commitment to social emotional learning that we have. So, and then on a personal note, like I am conscious of the fact that our next regular meeting is after the election. I know, like, regardless of what happens, I am honored to serve with you. It's always a pleasure to come to these meetings. So, just want to get that out ahead. But it's I would not be a board member in any other school district. I have no interest in doing that anywhere else. This is a really good group to work with. So, Dr. Robert?
Yeah, just to finish off on what you're mentioning about the partnerships. Number one, it's a continuation of the work that we actively were seeking to do in our strategic plan, looking at that area of partnerships and expanding those partnerships that are in line with our mission and vision and in line with our core values. So seeking organizations that have the same values as us. But particularly in the areas of social emotional learning too, it's a real kudos to the administrative staff, to principals that are looking out and going and forming these partnerships, because all those MOUs that you've seen coming forth in the past couple months, those aren't ones that I'm bringing to you. Those are being brought to you by the principals, looking for responding to the needs of their community. So it's our charge at a district level, but it's their charge at the school level as well.
Future agenda items?
One thing, I don't know how it would work out, but on the top, when we were talking about MSAN and being part of a network like that, and then talking to people at the county meeting yesterday, I wouldn't mind seeing if there's a way we can maybe pioneer a way for the school boards. I mean, we do have the county meetings, but those are infrequent, but finding ones, our neighbors, because a lot of our neighbors are facing the same issues as we are, and maybe getting together as close as like a closer neighborhood, or closer than the county meeting, to discuss those problems and solutions. I know Alhambra was talking with the gentleman from the board there and facing similar issues here, so just finding a way to partner with neighboring districts more.
I guess it's more in line with the discipline data, like how do we bring either partnerships or what can we do to better support, or I'm not going to say avoid suspending, but ideally, yeah, but how can we provide resources so we don't have to go to suspending students?
My mouth is shut.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I liked Luis and Elenia's additions. I don't have anything further.
Nothing from me at this point. And I think
That's it.
that is it. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
I can't believe we finished so early.
Feelings of yours.
Yeah. I sent you an email with the one. I don't know if it's easier to copy and paste. Yeah. Yeah, but you should be able to copy and paste. Yep. Yeah. No, I
didn't even try on the first list. I was like, the second list is going to be shorter.
yeah, I had it written out just to send us as after the vote.
I'm going to give it back to him.
Oh yeah.
I'll get Brendan. It's actually, I pulled it off my car to just show it, but I'll get Brendan to get you one. I'll bring one to you on
Sorry, what was that?
Call it Saturday, yeah.
Thank you.
Need one? I'll get you one.
Sorry, what?
No, I didn't.